Hello, if you're viewing this video, you're engaged in the Gospel of Mark, leading the discussion in your Sunday school class. I want to thank you for helping to engage people in this exciting Gospel of Mark. We're looking at this Gospel as a way of meeting Jesus again as we read the Gospel together. And today we're looking at Mark chapter 1, a story where Jesus meets a man who is struggling with leprosy. And it's really a story of Jesus reaching out with compassion for this man. And so we'll be talking today about what it means to have compassion for people, what Jesus modeled for us in the way of showing compassion. But I would suggest as you begin this study today in your Sunday school class, that you would ask the question, first of all, where have you met Jesus as you've been about this week? Where have you met him in the circumstances of your life? And invite the class just to reflect on that a little bit. And then as they reflect on those ways, perhaps where they've seen Jesus, my guess is that many of us meet Jesus in the hard times of our lives, in the suffering, or perhaps we've seen it in interaction with people who have been struggling. We draw closer, I believe, to meeting God when we're moved by compassion, the way Jesus was moved by compassion and the needs of the people. So take a few minutes to talk about that with your class. And then I would invite you to go back to Mark chapter 1, verse 41, where the verse that we want to focus on says this: moved with compassion, or being filled with compassion, Jesus reached out and touched the man. Now you have to understand that at the very core, this is a radical experience that Jesus is showing, not only from the standpoint of the Jewish law, where the law would have said that a person who was unclean because of anything like this, a skin disease or whatever, would not be appropriate for anybody to touch. And so in this day and age, when a person was struggling with leprosy or a skin disease, they were separated from the other people. And so that's one way of looking at it. But keep in mind that in the Gospel of Mark, we're talking to people who, Mark was writing to people who were not necessarily of Jewish background. And so perhaps there's something else going on here. And I'm guessing what's going on here is the view of God. And the view of God in the Greek mind was that God could not be moved at all by feeling compassion for people. Because the reasoning was, if God could be moved by feeling suffering of other people, then he could be changed. And they believed that God could not be changed in any way. So Jesus comes into this world as the Son of God and Son of Man, and he begins to show compassion. And so for the primarily Greek culture, this would be revolutionary, that a God would be a God who could be moved by compassion. The Son of God could be moved by compassion. So in this study that we're going to look at three ways in which Jesus is moved by compassion for the needs of people. And you'll see the outline if you download the PDF or if you open that up. You'll see that we'll walk through three different places where this word compassion, which is the word, which is a very profound word in the Greek that talks about the deepest part of your heart, sort of like down into the very, very center of your being is what the word means. To feel something so deeply, sort of in the pit of your stomach or in your deepest inside, is what this word indicates. So Jesus was feeling this, not just on the surface, but he was feeling it in a very profound way. So the study guide has you looking at those three instances in the Gospel of Mark where this same word is used. And so you'll be invited to ask questions of what this means for us in our lives, what it means for us to feel with people and to understand what it means to show compassion in our world. So I would encourage you to also do a study, perhaps in preparation for this, as you look in a concordance about compassion in the Bible, the word compassion, and sort of see how that is used in other places. But in this particular Gospel of Mark, one of the profound images of Jesus is that he is a person who shows compassion, and we are called to follow Jesus and show compassion to others.